And we're live.
Hello there.
Hello, everyone. We'll give you a few minutes to join in and say hello. As you probably know, we're talking about the Space 1999 Moonbase Alpha Technical Operations Manual this evening. I am Jamie Anderson. I'm Managing Director of Anderson Entertainment. And with me is Chris Thompson. Chris, who are you? Tell the lovely folks out there.
I don't know who I am anymore. I work with Jamie, and I am a animator, writer, artist, graphic designer, general bloke.
Yeah, Chris is a bit of a magician, I would say. He's very modest as well. But Chris has been responsible for some amazing work, which we're going to showcase this evening and let you see inside this upcoming Moonbase Alpha Technical Operations Manual. I'm going to keep calling it that, the full title, because it feels really in-world and Space 1999. Just while people are arriving...
Moonbatom, as we've been calling it outside.
No, we'll call it the full name. We'd love to know where you're watching from. I can see here that we've got someone joining us from France. How very international. Welcome along. Chris in Chichester.
Hello, fellow
Just
Chris.
as lovely, but maybe not as quite as exotic. 3:30 a.m. in Australia. Now, we don't know who you are, unfortunately. If you want us to be able to see who you are and you're on Facebook, you may have to go to streamyard.com/Facebook just to authorize it to tell us who you are. We've got Stuart in Scotland, another Canadian here, North Staffordshire, Minnesota, US, York. Wow. Okay, brilliant. People all over. Oh, Argentina. Welcome along. Wisconsin too. I mean, okay. Folks, we're really grateful for you joining us. We won't keep you waiting too much longer. We want to talk to you about this Technical Operations Manual from Space 1999 because Chris and the team have been working incredibly hard on it for ages and ages and ages. And we've all been dying to talk to you about it for some time. Before we continue, can you just give us a thumbs up if you can hear us okay? Hopefully our volumes are good and you can hear us loud and clear, even all the way from Dublin in that case there, Chris.
And I saw Paxton scrolling by. He's here.
Yeah, just make sure. Hello, Elliot.
And there's Austin Tate. Yeah, I remember Austin from the Jerry Anderson 3D models.
Yes. Right. Hello, Austin. Great to see you here as well.
Some of my early stuff.
Fantastic. Oh, yes, there we go. Paxton Young, you'll be getting a mention later on, sir. We'll be talking about you.
Dave Nick McCartney, I love his work.
Fantastic. Oh, and look. Morgan Jeffrey from Radio Times. Hello, Morgan. Okay, folks. Right, let's get into it. We've keep waiting long enough. We are here to tell you all about the Space 1999 Moonbase Alpha Technical Operations Manual. What is this thing? Well, it is a lavishly illustrated 300-page hardback book full of, I mean, in excess of 250 new illustrations. Chris, is that about right?
There's a lot. It's hard to keep tab of because there's usually about one new illustration per page. It's technically rounds off at about 272 pages, technically, but it's there's about at least one new illustration per page. In some instances, 8.
Yeah, it's a real undertaking, and this thing is a complete guide to life and technology on Moonbase Alpha. And we've kind of positioned it as a book, which is something which we given to Alphans as they were leaving the Earth to start their new life on Alpha. Little did they know what would confront them a short time later. So it's got a real in-world feeling, and it is brand new. There's a huge amount of stuff there, but it does have its roots in something you may already know. So I'd love to know in the comments who owns this original 1970s Moonbase Alpha Technical Notebook, because we've had a few mentions of this. We've had a few queries across social media. Is it a reversion of this? How similar is it? Chris, how similar or dissimilar is our new version compared to the 1970s edition?
So the Moonbase Alpha Technical Notebook basically kind of forms the foundation of what we've done right now. I've basically been referring back to it for mostly stuff like timeline and chronology and things like that, because David Hirsch, who put it together, basically had quite almost unprecedented access to the crew and on the actual show itself. So in many ways, it is a proper first-hand document, and it's incredibly well researched. And particularly, like, I'm quite spoiled because if I want to get some reference for Space 1999, I, for one, have David's, like, he very generously sent me like huge WeTransfers of reference from like his visits to like Martin Boer and sort of like behind the scenes images and things like that. But also, I can just watch the show. That's something that we don't appreciate these days, is that back in the 70s, you couldn't just go back and reference the show. So I think, like, as a book, the 70s manual is a complete, like, it is a wonderful piece of work. Like, it's incredible that they're able to put that together in quite a sort of a short space of time as well, from what I hear.
Yeah. I mean, we couldn't ignore it. You know, it's a lovely looking thing. It feels very retro now, and we wanted to absolutely respect this. Some of you may recognize this original advert for the mail order version of the technical notebook that you could have ordered via Starlog for $9.95 back in the day, back in the 70s. I can see lots of you said you had it. David Hirsch, who compiled and wrote the majority of the stuff in there. Here's a lovely picture of David with an eagle, looking very happy. I should say this is not a recent picture, but he hasn't changed that much since then. David has been involved. So let's talk about the team who are behind this, and then we'll get into showing you some spreads. Now, obviously, Chris has done a huge amount of work on this. Chris is a hugely talented CG artist and designer and writer. And this book couldn't have been in better hands. And he's been ably backed up in the writing by Andrew Clements, who has been absolutely fantastic as well. Both guys who love the show and respect the source material. You're going to give AC some kudos there, Chris.
Yes, I like to think I always give AC kudos. But no, AC's he's proven himself, particularly quite recently, with like anytime you get one of the emails, like the weekly emails with all the short stories and things like that. And obviously the new Thunderbirds and Stingray, like, sort of audios that have come out that he's produced. AC's really proven himself as a very good creative writer. And like, he's been helping me with the book. I've kind of split stuff quite down the middle. So AC's been helping out, sort of fleshing out the character biographies and helping me with the alien technology and encounters section, alien technology and phenomenon even. Because whenever approaching something like Space 1999, there is the hard sci-fi aspect, because back in the day, they were faced with the premise of the moon getting blown out of orbit, and the writers made a very big decision to anything that we know or can measure, we will research and scientifically make as accurate as possible. But anything in terms of scientific phenomena or like space or weird floaty space brains, we're just going to go straight out. We're going to push the limits and explore everything. So AC's been able to tackle that section pretty well, because ultimately from the Moonbase Alpha, the Alphans' point of view, they're not going to have a clue what went on. They've blown through the space brain, no idea what it was. The thing that from Force of Life, no idea what it was. Even the dragon from Dragon's Domain, it's you never really find out what that was or what happened to it. Yeah. So it was AC was really, really well able to distill a lot of that kind of atmosphere into that. In addition, we've also, who's in the comments, is Paxton. Paxton will be known to many of you. He is basically has done a ton of research into Moonbase Alpha itself. Tons. And he's very generously letting us use the Moonbase Alpha base layout that he's researched and spent years of his life drawing out and meticulously making accurate. And for more of his work, feel free to absolutely go check out his Paxton Young's Moonbase Alpha technical reference guide, or it's maybe under Keith Young's, but it'll be on Facebook anyway. He can drop a wee link in the comments.
Yeah, drop a link in there for us.
Chatting to him and sort of sharing emails and sharing his reference has been really, really wonderful, and I really appreciated sort of all the time he spent helping me out in this.
Yeah.
We've got some more writing written sections by Phil Plate and David Parker.
Yeah. So Phil Plate may be known to some of you as the bad astronomer on Twitter. Phil is a science writer and communicator and astronomer and all-round great guy. He has contributed a real-world kind of perspective on the science of one of the sections, as has Dr. David Parker from the European Space Agency. So not only are we respecting the original source material and involving people who love the shows, we're bringing in some real kind of science to connect it up as much as possible. I know those guys had a huge amount of fun doing it.
It's a relief on my part to be able to, instead of having to work out how the Eagle transporter flies myself, be able to hand it off to someone that actually works with nuclear propulsion.
Yeah.
So it's that's a weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, we definitely got some experts in, and David included. I mean, David is the head of human and robotic space exploration for the European Space Agency and went into space science because he fell in love with Doppelganger, which also shares some kind of roots in the live-action Anderson world. Just let's briefly just touch on David Hirsch, who has also been involved and will be writing the foreword for the book. David compiled the original technical notebook. How closely, Chris, has David been involved with the new version of this technical manual?
Well, I've been throwing stuff back and forth with David, and he's been pointing out all my errors, which is appreciative. Like it's like having somebody that can dispassionately look at my work and be able to point out exactly like where I'm going wrong I've really been appreciating it, and he's been lovely. Like he's been sending me screen grabs and like sort of lovely large scale images of like the base itself, which I've been colorizing. And yeah, we Skype at the very start of the project as well, and it's really lovely to see the passion for the project and him showing me off showing his collection of like the small eagle from the end titles and sort of the docking hatches and things that he has. Yeah.
No, we're really grateful that David has been involved because he's a lifelong fan and is still passionate about the show today. We've had a great editor in, Steve White, who's what you may know. He's been the senior editor in charge of Star Wars and Transformers for Titan, loads of other things as well. And Steve's a great fan.
For me, Steve has been an absolute lifesaver because Jamie knows that my writing sometimes borderlines English, but it's not quite there. Steve's been able to sort of make all my stuff very legible. So
don't downplay it, Chris. You've done a great job, but it does read like an in-universe manual. We've also brought in new illustrators, and we've been working with Amazing 15 to package the book. Chris, you want to just touch on them briefly, and then we'll get to the interior for eager fans who want to see some pages.
So in order to sort of portray the uniform designs and things like that, I brought in my local friend from Belfast, Christina Logan. She's done an absolutely wonderful set of sort of like uniform illustrations with like the various jackets. And she's done like a lot of research, kind of make them look like they come from a document from like the 70s/90s, like that kind of sort of futuristic and inspired retro future style.
Yeah.
And we've also been working with Catherine O'Kane. Catherine is another friend of mine from over here, and she's done me like a lovely sort of like Conquer the Moon sort of recruitment poster for like early on in the book. So it's been absolutely wonderful working with them. Yeah. And of course, we'll be seeing some of their work later, but Marcus from Amazing 15, that's like put all this stuff together. It like they've done so much research, and like they make my artwork look good. So
your art always looks great, Chris, but they have done a fantastic job. So let's have a look at this book because I know people are dying to see it and they want to know more. We'll be answering some of your questions after we've gone through some of the pages, so you'll definitely get to know a little bit more about the book itself. So if you haven't already seen the front cover, this is the book that we're talking about, the Space 1999 Moonbase Alpha Technical Operations Manual. Beautiful new hardback, which will be going up for pre-order on Breakaway Day on the 13th of September, and we'll have more details for you about that later on. Chris, what about the scope of this? Before we get into the pages, what are we covering?
So basically, it was a challenge to kind of like work out exactly how to pitch it in terms of content, because like if you want to cover all like the various vehicles and things like that, it's got to be like a pre-Breakaway kind of manual. But obviously there's everything that happens after Breakaway needs to be incorporated as well. So what we've done is that we've pitched it as a written document that was given to Moonbase personnel before Breakaway, which that they several years down the line have adapted and amended a lot of important elements from after Breakaway. So you'll get a lot of information, say for instance, like the ultra probe, this is the ultra probe. And then at the bottom will be an addendum being like, we finally found out what happened to the ultra probe, that kind of thing. But yeah, so our first section covers sort of the history of Moonbase Alpha. Jamie, could you bring up that spread? Yes, so I've done a couple of illustrations sort of expanding outwards from the sort of the canon of the show. So this is when Moonbase Alpha was first started, and I've had to kind of go back and work out how it would like how the base grew out, and it would be sort of expanding from the central core, like the bit the main mission is on. And I went back to a lot of Keith Wilson's sort of like early concepts, and then this Keith Wilson and actually in this particular one it was Chris Foss, because I was able to bring back the Chris Foss Eagle, and he's got that like early like Moonbase Alpha with like sort of the dish on top, and sort of ever so like over the couple of pages it gets big. Moonbase Alpha gets bigger and bigger, it gets the landing pads, it grows under like on the underside, and also over time we get to see the eagles evolve.
Yeah.
So we cover that in like sort of these rather lovely large sort of like illustrated pages, and then on that same section we cover the overall layer to the base, sort of like what's on the outside, what's underneath, where all the hangers are and things like that. And then that brings us to section 2. Jamie, I think there's the nuclear generating station. There we go.
There we go.
So one of the really fun bits about doing this project was going into basically doing these orthographic views of all the sets. I grew up on what's it called, the Star Trek fact files, and they would lavishly show off all the Star Trek stuff, and like they'd have images, and they would have these like lovely orthographic views, and like everything would be labeled about what everything did. And yeah, so being able to sort of like replicate that style in a Space 1999 and basically treat Space 1999 like these other popular franchises and give it the respect it deserves was like, it's been really fun doing that. And here you can kind of see the sort of split approach. So you've got the nuclear generating station as it is at the start of the episode, and then you've got an addendum as to what happens to it per nuclear generating station 3. So from the internal layout, we go on to the nuclear waste disposal. That should be the next screen grab, I think.
I think.
Oh no, we've got more. So yeah, I've
yeah,
I need to remember what I put in this, but yeah. So this also covers like, this is a good example of solving some of the technical issues. Well, not technical issues. Like sometimes on a TV show, stuff wouldn't necessarily line up, and an example of that is whenever the Eagle the sort of launch platforms would lower. By the time they got to the bottom, they've changed shape into that square sort of rectangular shape. So this was a fun challenge to work out how that happened, and it was quite a straightforward low tech solution of adding the sort of secondary garage level for larger craft that aren't Eagles. But that was a fun wee challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that you spent a huge amount of time solving logistical, physical problems and explaining how things might have worked, even though on the show they didn't necessarily match up. Do you want to look at gravity towers?
Let's look at some gravity towers, yeah. So a good example actually is because like there was a gravity tower section in the original technical notebook, and so this is kind of how we can extrapolate stuff out. And so we go from the diagram and we can show where all the gravity towers are. A little bit on Professor Bergman as well. Need to point out that I didn't exactly explain how they were able to generate artificial gravity, but you know, there's a little bit about warping the space-time continuum in there. So
nice. I mean, there are some things we can't come up with explanations for that are in the original show, but I think you've done a fantastic job elsewhere. I think we have got some nuclear waste disposal type.
Give me some nuclear waste. I love a bit of nuclear waste.
Here we go.
So we have to, like, obviously nuclear Moonbase Alpha space is there primarily in its current state to serve the nuclear waste sites that are on the far side of the moon. So a huge part of it will be covered on that. So we've got nuclear waste area 2. We've got we mentioned the waste area 1 and the waste areas from Sion Spectre. And yeah, There's a couple of other aspects. I've designed like a nuclear freighter to like ship stuff from Earth to the moon and things like that. And yeah, it's like actually one of the real pleasures about all this is being able to highlight all that production design, because you watch Breakaway, but you don't really like, you have to look in the behind the scenes images to see how big that set is, or like the little control panel that they have to unlock to access all the waste sites and stuff like that. So it's great to show all that.
Yeah, I mean, the more you dig in, the more there is to find almost, but I feel like you have covered pretty much everything. Now, we sent out a survey and over 1,000 of you responded, giving us the things you want to see. And I'm pleased to say that Chris and the team had covered pretty much everything. I feel like I'm going to give away an exclusive, Chris, but even the Alphans toilet facilities are covered.
Alphans toilet facilities are in there. We will find out where they poop.
Yeah, that is very important.
Exclusive.
But one of the most requested thing, obviously, was eagles and vehicles, and there's plenty of that. So just talk us through some of the eagle stuff. There's a great eagle interior here, which I think is absolutely glorious. Now, you can't see it in its full glory at this resolution, but Chris has built this button for button.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember like it was a 2 a.m. finish on that, just because like it was coming, like some of these, my 3D model of Moonbase Alpha and the interior of the eagle took so long to put together. And obviously the eagle immediately starts creating all this sort of logistical issues. So because for everyone that like knows, the set doesn't quite match out to what's outside. And in some, like this is kind of one of those aspects, so I just had to treat it like a film set and sort of there's not really given in universe reason for it, which is why the windows don't quite match up. But orthographically, they do match up to the screen grab. But it's also studying the actors as they flew the eagle, because particularly Nick Tate, whenever he's flying the eagle, he would like look around like sort of there. And I had to put those screens in to like reference like what he's looking at, because I always noticed that Martin Landau would always like look over the threshold. So adding all that kind of stuff in, just it was fun. It was like, as much as I can complain about infinite buttons, like it was fun, like working all that stuff out. And
yeah, and it's just seriously amazing. Chris has built every single set from scratch and all the modular parts, and it's been amazing to see it come together. We don't just cover the kind of the broad details of the vehicles, it's the fine details too, including weapon systems.
Yeah,
I mean, this is quite a niche page. Chris, tell me about this.
It's not as niche as the stairs, Jamie.
That is true. Yeah, we've got stairwells, but we're not showcasing them tonight because they're just too exciting.
Stairwells are too hot for YouTube. But yes, so the weapon systems, because we have to explain why the lasers both appear from the spine below the eagle and from the nose cone. But yeah, like they made a lot of these sort of like close-up props for it. So like obviously, and there's a lot of reference for them out there, so it was nice to incorporate them in there.
Yeah. I mean, it just shows you the level of detail Chris has gone to. Once again, we've got 3 more little teaser sections to show you. One which features a really brilliant, beautiful piece of splash art. And I should say that there are tens of these throughout the book where you get a full page of glorious artwork. And here is one that I'm a big fan of, Chris. So again, just run us through things like Voyage 1.
So this is an example of the supplementary craft section, and I've included like two of the spreads from this, because like on some of the sections we go for, like, say for instance, if it's the Hawk, we cover, I think it's 6 pages on the Hawk, maybe 8. But for like Voyager 1, there's like 4 pages. For each of the vehicles, I tried to like sort of like get a nice big piece of artwork and then like have it somewhere that's not the moon, because Moonbase, like the moon is very black and white. So for Voyager, I took it to Jupiter. The ultra probes outside Neptune. Like there's 2 Swifts flying over Uranus. Like it was really, like, these were the really fun pages that I spent ages over, because it's like let's get some color in this thing. If we go to the second page in Voyager, I think it's the one after it.
Yep.
It's not all renders, so we've got there was a lot of love for blueprints in the survey we did, so we've got those as well. And yeah, so I'm sort of just showing off the model, and we've got the screen grabs as well. So yeah, it's quite fun to be able to put those together, because I love a good blueprint myself.
They are very cool. It does add a certain technical something, doesn't it? It's sort of the engineering prowess of the whole thing. And some of you may have seen some previews of some of Chris's lovely Comlock and stun gun art in the survey that we sent out. But we go right into weaponry and handheld technical stuff. So the last thing we're going to show you tonight is this beauty.
The
Chris, what's going on here?
So they never really explain on the show why Moonbase Alpha is armed to the teeth, but coming up with a solution for that was quite fun. So one of the lovely things about the book is not necessarily even showcasing design, it's being able to write all this lore as to like why like the base has tanks, why the base has a ton of rocket guns, things like this. But also be able to kind of show them off, because you don't really get too close a view of a lot of the props. So like the wee handheld scanner and the Geiger counters and things like that, and trying to work how everything works and sticking that one camera stock on everything.
Well, having just showcased you there, just 10 spreads from the book, there's so much more, but I think you all get a flavor for what's going on there, and the amazing amount of work that Chris and the team have put in. I was flashing up through then, Chris. I don't know if you saw when you were chatting away, but endless amounts of praise. Yeah, and we really love your positivity, guys. All of you who've been, commenting and emailing us. This is great, and the support is much appreciated, because everybody, not me, I should add, everybody else has worked incredibly hard on this book and done the most amazing job. So I've seen a lot of you asking how much and when. They are great questions. So as I may have mentioned earlier on, pre-sale for this goes live. The pre-order goes live on Breakaway Day. So 9 o'clock in the morning on Breakaway Day on the 13th of September, we'll send an email out. The products go live, and you can pre-order it there. It'll be for delivery mid-October, so it'll be about a month from pre-order to delivery. For the first week, there will be an extra added bonus that you can pick up for the first 7 days. And there is also a special edition. I will show you that in a minute. The book is going to be priced at £34.99, £34.99. Now, I did see at the beginning of this, we showed you the original notebook pre-order form, and that was $9.95 in dollars. Now, someone, I think it was Don, messaged and said that adjusted for inflation, that's $45.50. So $34.99 is actually slightly under inflation for a massively expanded book, which is, I guess, about 4 times the size and much bigger in terms of scope and images and all that kind of stuff. So $34.99. It's not available to pre-order yet. It will be from the 13th of September from the Jerry Anderson store, which is shop.jerryanderson.com. If you go there before, you won't find it there. We just want to make sure everything is ready. We've got all the details for you, and everything's pinned down before it goes live on Breakaway Day. Now, there is also a special edition version. This is the special edition, or this is Chris's beautiful render of it. For the special edition version, there will only be 311 editions of this, all individually numbered. There will not be any more of it. Obviously, it includes the book. It also includes a travel tube map, ID card, radiation detector, anti-radiation pills, which you should not use for any medical purposes because they're actually mints, and a letter from the desk of Commissioner Simmons, which acts as your certificate of authenticity, which is individually numbered. So more details on this next Friday when we'll do another live. We'll tell you more about this, but it's also put into a specially created flight case in that lovely kind of space 1999 oatmeal plastic color, which was all the rage in the 70s version of 1999. It's pretty beautiful. So we'll have more information on that for you next Friday. There's a few people asking about digital versions. At this time, there's no plan for a digital version. a huge amount of work's gone in. It needs to be seen in its physical beauty, and the physical version is obviously much more appropriate for an in-world version of Space 1999. I think, you know.
I'm really excited to see the practical version at last.
Yeah, having it
on the screen
in the flesh is great, and it's, you know, I've got a sort of preview. Pre-cut version of the book here, and it's a lovely weighty thing. Jeff, yes, I think we're all swooning. I'm certainly swooning at Chris's amazing work. It has been pretty fantastic. So please do stay tuned. Next week on Friday, the same time, so that's Friday the 10th of September, we will have another one of these videos with hopefully more guests from the team, more visuals to showcase to you, more information, and all the info about the special edition version. Someone asked there, is the special edition briefcase aluminium? No, it's not. It's a hard plastic. Again, very Space 1999.
Yeah, we were at a shoot like last week, and like there was the same case that the DOP was using, and I was obsessed with it.
Yeah, it's a
like, I want one.
I would show you the one I've got here, but it's the wrong color, so I don't want to throw you off. But there we go. Look, it's a beautiful book. Chris and team have done an amazing job. I'm so pleased that you all like the look of it. We've been completely overwhelmed with lovely comments from you. Thank you so much. Please do us a favor, share this video wherever you're watching it with your friends, because you might be the person that introduces your friends to an amazing book, which they're going to love. Yeah, drop us a comment, tell us what you think, what your favorite things are. And if you've got any questions or queries, drop them in the comments as well, and we'll make sure that we answer them next Friday. And I think there might possibly be a little trailer or something at some point as well, Chris. Is that right? Yeah, at some point we'll have a little trailer for it as well to showcase even more. Chris, any final comments?
I just want to say, everybody, thank you for your lovely comments. I've been reading them just as Jamie was talking there. And yeah, just like, thanks everybody. Keep the show alive. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for your support, everybody. Please share the video with your chums on whatever social media platform you're watching. Drop us a comment, a question, and we will see you for another live video with more pages of the Space 1999 Moonbase Alpha Technical Operations Manual next Friday the 10th, wherever you're watching us now. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening and have a great weekend. Bye. Bye.